City Council meeting to order. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Start with roll call. Councilmember Ling.
Here.
Councilmember Litton.
Here.
Councilmember Meyer.
Here.
Councilmember Thomas.
Here.
And Councilmember Metz. Is not here. Not yet, anyway. All right. Also present is City Attorney Johnson and City Administrator Jessica Stanky. Item 3, approval agenda. Any additions or corrections?
No, just on the consent agenda, we have approval of bills, and so there's another packet that came out late with the bills. They're also in the public packet if anyone wants to look at it.
Okay.
There are some larger items in there, specifically the ambulance, so if anyone has any questions about it.
Okay. Do you have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. I'll second.
Motion by Councilmember Meyer, second by Councilmember Thomas to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Item 4, citizens address to the council. Is there anyone who would like to address the council tonight?
Evening, Council.
Good evening.
Curtis Street, 309 Fourth Avenue, citizen yet. I guess I want to preempt what I'm going to say by I have 2 family members in law enforcement. I got one boy that works for the city of St. Paul, and I got a son-in-law that works for Stearns County Deputy Sheriff. Both of them have been in law enforcement for over 20 years. I just wanted to comment on the one of the contracts you're going to be approving in your, more likely approving in your agenda, the police chief's contract. I realize it's tough to find law enforcement officers nowadays. I just hope at some point you guys realize some of the things that are getting given out and some of the things that are being asked for. I think our police chief is getting paid a very fair salary, as are the police officers. I don't think there's one of them that live in town. With salary and benefits, that's about $500,000 that's leaving our town every day. That's besides the point, but one of the things in the contract I want to address is that it says 2% salary above the cost of living. So that's going to average out to 5 to 6% salary increase each year, besides a fairly decent salary he's going to be making. Another thing I wanted to point out in the contract is he also would get a $3,000 a year stipend payable in January. And it says for purchase, lease, or own or operate or maintain a personal vehicle. I think that's another pretty decent benefit alongside the salary that he's making. I'm sure he's got a very nice house and he lives in Watertown. He's the one that decided to stay in Watertown. So I don't think the city should feel obligated to pay him the extra money for a car. I'm sure all the other city employees would enjoy having that. Again, I'll emphasize, I realize it's tough to find police officers, but at some point you have to take a stand and you have to put a limit to what you're paying. You can't be, I'm going to use the term held hostage because for lack of better terms, but you can't be held hostage because police officers are difficult to find and being having contracts like this put in front of you. Again, I've got the utmost respect for the police department and what they go through. Like I said, I've got two family members in it, but we've got a budget to look at too. Thank you.
Thanks.
My name is Lyle Brown. I'm representing Arlington Animal Clinic. And I come here to talk about, we have an issue with a truck and a boat that's always parked in front of our vet clinic. It was parked there this morning. This afternoon it was moved 50 feet up the street. But are you all aware of what I'm talking about?
I've seen it.
Yeah. Right. So the truck hasn't been in the water all year. And the boat, I'm sorry. The boat has not been in the water all year. And sometimes you have the trailer there with full of junk. I don't know what's in there. But the truck itself hasn't even been licensed. Tabs for 9 months since they're out of compliance on the tabs and license. Some cities would consider it an abandoned vehicle if the tabs aren't up, But, I don't know why there's a public parking spot a couple hundred feet down the street, the parking lot, why that can't be made to park over there. I talk to the police about it sometimes, and they'll go talk to him. I guess he lives in the apartments. I've never met the guy. But he could park it down the street. He could park it in 2 public parking lots close by there. It impedes on our clients getting up to our building. It takes up basically the whole front of the building. And when we have people, sometimes they're trailer in large animals like horses or cows or something like that. We like to park the trailer, swing the door open, they walk right into our garage there. No chance of getting out, running down the street, something like that. We don't want to block the street off of the trailer to do that because, sometimes emergency services come down that road. That's where the police department is. Another alternative maybe is to make those spots in front of the clinic just reserved for the vet clinic or the police to park in. That would be a start too. But this way, it's an eyesore and it feeds our business. So, and if you don't, I'm sure you're all aware, but I'm talking about it. Not when you drive home, you drive by that way.
I've seen it.
But
if the tabs aren't good, I mean, I thought the police could do something about that because they can't have it on the road if there's no tabs.
yeah, it's March 24th on the license.
Yeah, well, we can look at our ordinances and code, and then if there's no tabs on, we can definitely bring that up to the police and go from there.
I'd appreciate anything you can do because I've been battling this all summer long, and now it's fall, and now he's sitting there with the boat again, which is not going to move for 6 months again. So
I know our chief has talked to him about moving it for that purpose, for you guys having access, and
Okay.
especially for the snow removal. So I don't think your idea is a bad idea. So maybe that's something we can discuss or have to reserve that parking specifically for.
yeah,
Because
that'd be great.
what we've found is there wasn't much in our ordinances to prohibit what he's doing because it is a public. It's not meant for storage, but it is a public parking. Yeah,
It's in front of that because that's a Masonic lodge. too, in
it's
front.
big. It's a big boat
Yeah.
too.
It's a big,
Yeah.
I don't
Takes
even
up-
think it's as big as your bed. I don't think it's been on the
Yeah,
water,
it's
just like you
about the
said.
load of the
Right.
truck is
Yeah.
about as long as the vet clinic is. So
Yeah.
if you take out around the corner where you have no parking for yellow, that takes the whole spot up to the corner of our garage.
Mhm.
So we could easily park 3 cars. We could easily park there in the space of that. What that is.
And he's been doing it for over a year.
Yeah.
I know I've seen it at least that long.
Yeah, it's getting old, and I thought, well, tonight your meeting, I'm going to come here and address it. So
Thank you.
whatever you
Thank
can
you.
do for, I greatly appreciate.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. So anyone else who'd like to address the council tonight? Okay. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Tonight's consent agenda consists of approval of the bills, approval of the November 4th and November 12th city council meeting minutes, approval of St. Mary's Church gambling permit for bingo on March 2nd, 2025, approval of Sibley East Wolverine Boosters gambling permit for raffle, pull tabs, and paddle wheels for January 1st through April 5th, and approval to hire paramedic Brandy Gaff pending successful background.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Second.
Motion by Councilmember Thomas, second by Councilmember Matts to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we'll move on to our public hearing. I will need a motion to close the regular meeting and open the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the regular meeting.
I'll second.
Motion to close the regular meeting by Councilmember Ling, second by Councilmember Litvin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now we will move into our truth and taxation. I'll turn it over to Jess.
Okay, so I just have a brief presentation here to go over our truth and taxation for 2024 for budget year 2025. Council's held several workshops. The budgeting process is a year-long project that we work on starting in the spring with an internal review. The department heads prepare documents for council during the summer months, and we start our work sessions in August. Our preliminary levy was approved in September at a 29% increase. After that, we did a couple more workshops, and then tonight is a truth and taxation with the plan to do a final adoption of our final levy numbers at a 22% increase. So this slide just kind of outlines the different funds. This year we see a slight increase to our general fund, just approximately 3%. This increase is due to rising yearly operational costs, mostly in public safety, and the addition of a third maintenance worker in public works. This year we're at an increase of $70,397 compared to last year, which was about $250,000. So a small increase compared to 23 to 24. The amounts for our other special funds have not changed. Capital improvement, we were able to reduce that levy amount by $28,643. The reason for that is we did sell a piece of equipment, the snow blower that we were no longer using. We're able to use that for a purchase that was planned for 2025. We also had the one-time public safety aid. And then the delay in the delivery of our squad cars allowed us to push that out another year as well. The largest increase you'll see here is for the 2024 bond for the street project, makes up about 19% of the total levy. But again, that project is for 6 to 8 years of work. We saved probably $1 to $3 million across the project. Our next large bond payment will mature in 2031. So that's in about 6 years. So hopefully we won't have to see any other large bonds until then. This slide just shows the tax levy trends over the last 4 years. Again, our overall levy increase is $259,131. The next slide outlines our general fund expenses broken down by department. Overall, a lot of it didn't change. Again, operational costs, specifically in police, admin, and the addition of the third member of public works. I'm sorry. The next two slides are an outline of the revenues compared to 2024. Don't see a whole lot of change there. Local government aid went up by a very, very small amount. We had favorable interest rates, and we foresee that happening again in 2025. And then we did get an increase in our public safety state aid that we get every year because now we are fully staffed service. On the second slide, the biggest change here is probably the small decrease in the county contributions for the library, and that was due to the reduction in TDS fees. I don't know if you guys recall approving that resolution earlier this year to that agreement. And then again, this slide just outlines each fund. This is the 4th year that we've levied them separately for transparency, and I think it's just a lot easier to budget moving forward when you can see what each amount is used for. This slide I know is very, very small. It's the capital improvement plan just for 2025. Again, there is a reduction in this number from 2024 due to those reasons I listed before. Also, we have money in our med center lease that is possibly going to be used to resurface the basketball court, so we were able to take that off this list. The salt truck I have highlighted in red. That has not yet been delivered. We did pass a resolution allowing us to reimburse ourselves with a loan for up to 2 years, so we can decide that upon delivery if we want to use cash or funds from the CIP. So that's why that's highlighted in red. And then this last slide just outlines our property tax rate over the last 4 years. I got the total tax capacities for 2025 about a week ago. Initially, I thought our tax rate was going to go up about 10%, but just barely over 1% from 24 to 25. So I know property values continue to go up. Our tax rate, we've been able to keep pretty steady the last couple of years. So that is all I have for the slideshow. I guess now if you want to open up for questions.
Any questions on what Jessica went through. Okay. Well, that's it in a nutshell, so we will then move on. So now I'll entertain a motion to,
I'll make a motion to start the regular meeting.
I'll second.
motion by Councilmember Ling, second by Councilmember Lippin to close the public hearing, open the regular meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. And we move on to Resolution 54-2024. This is setting the final levy for 2025, and that is at that 22%, right?
Correct. Yeah, these are all the numbers that I outlined in that slideshow.
Okay, would someone like to introduce the resolution?
I'll introduce resolution 54-2024 for the 22% tax.
Okay, for a second.
I'll second.
All right. Resolution 54-2024, introduced by Councilmember Lippin, second by Councilmember Thomas. This is a resolution adopting the 2024 tax levy for 2025. We'll vote by roll call. Councilmember Matz,
Yes.
Councilmember Ling,
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas,
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
and Councilmember Lippin.
Yes.
5 in favor, none against. The resolution passes. All right, item 8. This is resolution 55-2024, resolution adopting the 2025 Arlington municipal budget. Someone like to introduce the resolution?
I'll introduce resolution 55-2024, adopting the 2025 city budget.
I'll second.
All right. Again, resolution 55-2024, introduced by Councilmember Thomas, second by Councilmember Meyer. This is a resolution adopting the 2025 Arlington municipal budget. We'll vote by roll call again. Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas,
Yes.
Councilmember Matz,
Yes.
Councilmember Ling,
Yes.
and Councilmember Lippin.
Yes.
5 in favor, none against. The resolution passes. All right. As soon as I get, wow.
Yeah, this was a long, that's a long one.
There it is. Okay, caught up here. All right, moving on to the item 9, 2024 street and utility project update.
Good evening, everybody. We've reached the end of the 2024 construction season, and the project is put away for the year. So if there's any, they were just doing a bunch of cleanup here over the past number of weeks, but everything that was opened up got paved, and concrete curb and gutter. Turf establishment will be waiting for next year. They did some temporary because we just basically ran out of the days for them to do some dormant seeding. So that'll get all addressed next year, but essentially everything's put away. All of the road closed signs and any of the traffic control should be removed. And there is some down there by the fairgrounds off of the street itself, some storage there that we've worked through, and then some stuff down at the city shop that we've been working with Kirby on. But essentially everything should be out of the way for the year. So very good season. Other than, we did run into those contaminated soils. We are working with the contractor to finalize those quantities. We'll bring that forward to you for a change order, and then hopefully getting reimbursed through the Petro Fund for that. So I'll give you an update when we get to that point. But by and large, pretty successful construction season. You do have a pay estimate in front of you, pay estimate number 5. Just kind of looking at that, looks like we're about a third of the way through the project. I felt like we were kind of in and around a lot of the area, but looking at the quantities, we're about a third of the way through it. So they'll have to have next year to do it, and completion date is in September of next year. So they're going to have to hit the ground running. Certainly, it's a contractor that's more than capable of doing that work. They're just going to have to schedule their crews accordingly. So at this point, we do not know when it's going to start up again. When they do, we'll kind of hold another pre-con here at City Hall to get things kicked off, and then we'll be doing the newsletters as things just before it gets going and stuff to alert everybody where they're going to be starting and things like that. So getting across the highway will probably be the first thing that they do. The trying to get that work done. So that was held off, if you recall, just trying not to open that up and not being able to get all the trades in to get that done here. Even though we did have a good fall, it's hard to say. So otherwise, any questions anybody else has?
We're still gonna be doing the text message. You don't have to re-sign up in the new year, right?
Nope, it'll be just
All the
same
same
project.
information.
Yep, everything will just carry over, just like the same project, just a little bit of a hiatus here,
Yep.
so.
Any questions? All right, what was the amount on that pay?
164, 663.50.
164, 663.50. Okay. All right. So then we need a motion to approve pay request.
I'll make a motion to approve a pay request of $164,663.50.
I'll second.
All right. Motion by Councilmember Matz, second by Councilmember Ling to approve the pay request of $164,663.50. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passed.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
See you next year.
Next year, yeah. Merry Christmas. See ya.
Bye.
All right. So item 11, MMP memo, weighted voting. So that's Jess.
Yep, so this is from MMPA. It's where we purchase our power. We are a part of that board. Currently, they use megawatt hours purchased as part of the weighted voting. But what they're looking to do is just amend that a little bit so that if the agency finds a user and places them in a city, those megawatt hours would not count as their weighted voting, just to make it fair, because if MMPA found a user and say picked a specific city because of what they had, that city didn't really do anything to earn those megawatt hours. It was the agency. So to keep things fair and even, they're just amending the way the weighted vote is calculated, removing those.
Okay.
So they need a resolution passed by each voting member city. So that's why we have to pass a resolution.
Okay. Any questions? All right, we'll move on to the resolution then. This will be resolution 56-2024. It is a resolution amending the agency agreement with MMPA. Someone like to introduce the resolution?
I'll introduce resolution 56-2024, weighted voting.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, resolution 56-2024, introduced by Councilmember Thomas, second by Councilmember Lipton. This is a resolution amending the agency agreement with MMPA. Vote by roll call. Councilmember Lipton,
Yes.
Councilmember Ling,
Yes.
Councilmember Matz,
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas,
Yes.
and Councilmember Meyer.
Yes.
5 in favor, none against. The resolution passes. All right. So item 13 will be the first reading of ordinance amendment to ordinance 313, chapter 4 committees. And this is, I'll just read that.
Yep,
part
just a
of it.
highlighted portion.
So basically, this is the public safety committee that we discussed. It's a standing committee that consists of 2 members of the Arlington City Council, the Arlington Police Chief, the ambulance manager, the fire chief, and the City of Arlington Emergency Management Director. The Public Safety Committee may also include 1 to 2.
Oh, I didn't
You
update
want
the
2.
one. Yeah, sorry.
So 2 current residents of the City of Arlington or township served by the fire and ambulance appointed by the mayor. So that will be the first reading.
Yeah, so if you guys want anything changed about that, I can prepare it for the next meeting, but this is the same that we discussed
Yeah.
when she proposed the committee, and I left the 2 current residents of the city or township, so that.
Mhm.
And we will approve that next meeting, and then we'll get the
Those
committee set.
put together. Yep.
Okay. So moving forward, people service renewal.
So Greg and Lee are here, actually, if you guys have any questions. Hi, guys.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor Council. I'm Greg Stein, Region Manager, People Service, and I think you guys know Lee Hortloff, the lead manager here. It's hard to believe that I look back, it was 2006 when People Service first signed on with the City of Arlington. Now we're just completing another 5-year contract, actually at the end of this month, and we are here for renewal, and I believe you guys all have a copy of the new one,
Mhm.
and I'm basically here to answer any questions, concerns, anything you guys might have with it, or.
Questions for it? Had a chance to look over it?
We've worked back and forth on a couple of items we talked about at our utilities. We had Ken look it over. I think both parties feel pretty good about where it is. Yeah.
Made all
Okay.
the changes with the.
Yep.
The shelves and the rows and all that good
Mhm.
stuff, and
All right, well, if there's no questions, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the contract.
I'll make a motion to approve the people service contract renewal.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Councilmember Litt and second by Councilmember Meyer to approve the people service contract renewal. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
thank you guys.
Thank you.
And we'll
Thank you,
do,
guys.
E-doc sign.
Okay.
DocuSign, if you could get
Watch my email.
or whatever. Yeah.
Sounds good.
And we'll hang around here for the next number 15 here.
Oh, for AGI?
If you got any questions or.
Okay,
Sure.
then we will move on to the AGI agreement approval.
So I put this on our agenda. We have not been able to get an AGI committee meeting together. I've reached out to Green Isle a couple times. I don't know if it's just their changeover or why we can't get something scheduled, but I thought, well, maybe we should just pass it on our end and then we can kick it back to them. Mayor Sheets and I met many months ago, I think in July, and just kind of talked over some of the proposed changes. And he seemed to be on the same page, so I don't anticipate anything. And I know, Ken, you're here on behalf of Arlington tonight, but you're also Green Isle's attorney. So I don't know if you had a chance to discuss anything with them or if you have any recommendations on how we should move forward with it.
Sure, I think that, so I've been working pretty closely with both cities, Green Isle and Arlington. And I've been talking with Mayor Sheets over in Green Isle, just about the contract and the terms that have been put together. And there's been a little bit of back and forth, and I know that he's been working with
Mhm.
EGS. So I think that it's pretty inclusive, that it covers the things that we need. I think it protects both interests of both cities. I have not got any, I guess, final confirmation from Green Isle, one way or the other. I suspect that they're good to go. I'd say it would probably be worthwhile to get some sort of confirmation and lock things down before we go approving it over here.
Okay. I didn't know if we could approve it and send it to them, and then if they had changes, we could just amend our,
I guess we
whatever you
certainly-
think is, I was just hoping to get it done by the end of the year, so if we have it by next meeting, I suppose that would be fine. I don't know, whatever you guys want to do.
Thoughts?
I think they should probably sign off on it first, and since we're the governing section of it
Yeah.
with the ordinance and all. I think that the vast majority of the changes are gonna be coming on Green Isle's responsibilities, I think, so I think
It
that's
is.
probably a
Okay.
good idea.
Otherwise, we're amending it after we get it back.
Right, and I didn't know if that was
Yeah.
worth it. I was just trying to get it
Okay.
back on everybody's radar to get
And
it
I
shored
can
up.
certainly discuss it with Mayor Sheets tomorrow as
Okay.
well, kind of put it on his radar
If
and
they,
keep the ball rolling.
if they can approve it, so we can approve it the next meeting, that'd be great.
That'd be great, yeah.
So we can
We
get
can
this
just-
done, because it is due.
It's been due for a long
Yeah,
time, so.
it needs to be done.
Yeah, it would be nice to have it
So,
shored up. So,
okay. Should we table? then we'll
yeah, we can table it.
Table it,
Yep.
yeah, motion table.
I'll motion the table.
I'll second.
Motion by Councilmember Meyer, second by Councilmember Lippin to approve, or at the table, the AGI agreement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Great, thank you guys.
All right, item 16, substation electrical study proposal.
So I was hoping to have these quotes ready for you guys. They are not ready. We did get a quote from DGR Engineering a while back that I had discussed with our utilities committee. The reason we're kind of expediting the substation is Excel is finally kind of pushing on us a little bit to decide what we want to do with that substation on Adams Street. So I did ask DGR, what would it cost to just focus in on that substation? And it is less than an overall study, but the problem is if you don't have the understanding of the entire system, you can't really make big decisions on that substation. So we talked a little bit about pursuing that overall system study from an engineering perspective. We had Emerson here from McLeod. He works with a firm called PSE. They are actually pretty familiar with the Arlington area. So we're hoping to have that second quote from them ready for this meeting. We did get a quote. However, it was so much less than the one from DGR. We didn't think they were an apples to apples comparison. So we're going back to them to just say, are you actually quoting us the same amount of work as DGR so that we can present a fair quote to you guys? So I'm hoping to have that for January because I think that's a project we want to kind of hit right away in 2025. So I was hoping to have them for you tonight. They're not ready. So that'll be on the agenda again for January.
Table this one too.
Yes,
We need to table it? Okay, yep.
you
we'll table
could.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll take a motion
I'll make a
table.
motion to table it.
Okay,
I'll
Till the
second.
quotes come in.
all right, motion by Councilmember Ling, second by Councilmember Lippin to table the substation study until quotes come in. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, hometown ambulance billing.
So over the past couple of months, we've been kind of discussing some of the issues that we've been having with our ambulance revenues. We've come to the conclusion that our billing third party is definitely part of the problem. We're finding out that patients and residents of Arlington aren't getting their bill 6 to 12 and maybe even longer than that after their incident. So we started doing some research on different billing companies in the state. We landed on hometown billing. They have a live person answering the phone every time. They take all of the payments, which really cleans up the whereas who has what and when we're trying to, do the checks and balances of our billing. Right now, our statements go out and it has both expert billing and the city of Arlington. So I think it really confuses people about where they're supposed to send their payment. Hometown billing is very selective on what agencies they take, so they're not overrun like expert billing where they're a first come, first serve. So if you don't get your invoices in on time, you're at the bottom of the stack. Whereas with hometown billing, you're one of their clients, you have an assigned person. So those are some of the reasons that we'd like to move forward with hometown billing. Right now, our agreement with expert is actually with the business who bought expert back in like 2004. So we do have a 30-day out under our current contract. It sounds like expert billing is suffering somewhat in Minnesota because of all these reasons. All of their employees, I think, are remote and they get paid on a per bill basis. So if they touch your invoice, they get paid. It doesn't mean they have to send it out. It doesn't mean they have to collect on it. So their model has changed significantly over the last 20 years. So these are kind of the reasons why we would like to go forward with hometown billing as our third party biller.
So there's no cancellation fee with expert.
It's a 30-day out, so no.
What's their percentage on there?
So they're a flat fee. They were a flat fee of $26 per billing. So it is a little bit different of a cost structure. But I think expediting our billing and getting our revenues on time.
So the one
It's gonna
question
be
I
worth
brought up to Jamie too, because I didn't get
Yeah.
my bill for a year.
Yeah.
Over a year, so.
Yeah.
I
And
was-
by that time, if your insurance was supposed to be billed, to try to go back and fix all that, it's.
So, and it's one of our biggest problems with our is getting our revenue. We need to do something about it.
about it. Yeah.
So, any questions? Okay, if we would like to move forward with this, I would entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve hometown billing as our billing.
Billing service.
Billing ambulance service.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, motion by Councilmember Matt, second by Councilmember Thomas to approve hometown billing for our ambulance billing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, Gator Forks request. You see the memo from Kirby on that. And this does come from the funds from the sale of the blower.
Yes.
Kirby, or
Yeah,
what?
good evening. Yeah, right, so we were able to sell our old snow blower for $35,000 and to total cost for these two items would fall short of that at $34,550. The UTV is something we've talked about for a while, at least internally in the department, how, you know, it would really be a very nice tool for us to have. And then the forks as well is kind of becoming more and more evident that they would be very useful too. Especially for a compost pile. It's hard to burn that without having so much compost in there. And then you get smoldering, you get fires sparking back up. Where I can sort through that and get all the brush out. We can get it done a lot quicker and safer. And there's other reasons for those that I listed too as well. But yeah, so with your approval and blessing, I guess that's what I'm here for tonight. Did you guys have any? The only other really, so I have tested these two. I have driven these two items, the one from Arnold's and the one from Midwest. They're really the local companies that I guess I've built relationships with. And I would like to be reasonably close if we got one of these. The Gator I thought was far away the better machine. The Kubota, a little cheaper, but I'd rather have what would really benefit us than something that's not as nice. So, I don't know if you guys have any other questions or if you were able to review this at your own time. Or...
Questions, thoughts on it?
And I know in the past we've used the school districts and definitely would like to get away from, I think that would be beneficial.
I have asked to borrow Bickelman's at school more than a handful of times. Yeah, and then I remember mentioning that to Jess, and she was like, "Ooh, that's maybe not the greatest idea." And I mean, if we're gonna get that third-time guy,
Yeah.
we would ideally, I hope, still hire one part-time summer help, and they would be without a vehicle if that would happen, in order to scoot around and do weed whipping in different jobs. That would be a big use too for us. It would also save a lot on other vehicles, our trucks. We're using those sometimes in parks when we shouldn't be. Ground's too soft for different reasons.
I think as long as the money is there, that we get
I think that we got to sell
that
that.
would be like a
Yeah.
good way to use the money, I think.
Mhm.
Okay,
I'll make a motion that we purchase the John Deere Gator and the pallet forks.
A second.
okay. Motion by Councilmember Meyer, second by Councilmember Matz to purchase the Gator and forks. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kirby.
Just to kind of speak up for the guy with the boat thing too, I've thought many times, you know, we can't sweep when it's parked there, we can't spray weeds in the streets, and then I was getting concerned about plowing too.
Ever seen the pickup in the water?
I haven't seen that, no.
It looks more like the pickup was in the water than the boat.
I don't know, is there, do we have any?
We've checked the ordinances and
anything maintenance reasons or?
no, but I do like his idea of maybe just specifying that police and animal clinic parking only, which is within your guys' control to set that. So maybe I'll work with Glenn on putting together a map and
Is that not in, isn't that street in the emergency snow plowing?
yes, for
Yeah.
snow plowing, he has
Is
to
it
move it.
sitting there when they're supposed to plow streets?
It wasn't, last year I don't think it was.
If it's sitting
I
there
don't know
this
where-
year and you gotta plow streets, call a record.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
Well, especially if the tabs aren't correct.
Yeah,
Well, that
that's
should be
not,
ticketed, so.
Yeah,
that's not
right.
even an issue. I mean,
I
it
don't-
should be done and gone.
Right.
Yeah, when he said the tabs were like 9 months.
I don't think that's in our ordinance though, unfortunately.
There is something in there
But that
about,
Is there?
doesn't,
That's
There is
doesn't
something
matter
about-
if it's on
yeah.
our,
That's a state law.
that's a state
Right.
law.
Is it?
Everybody
Okay.
has to have tabs.
Yeah.
over you.
Yeah, because,
Otherwise, I'd be driving around without them all the time, as cheap as I.
Okay.
yeah.
And I can dig into the ordinance.
I think there's
Okay.
something,
I thought there is. There is.
Actually, a licensed vehicle or parking.
I always thought that too, and then
Even
this
if you
came
have a
up
park
and
in your
we,
house, it has to be.
Right.
we'll check.
In your yard,
Yeah.
your backyard,
But-
it's gotta have.
We'll check into it
we'll
again.
check, we'll continue to check into it, and with Arlie Dazzle, we probably should really discuss it with him to have it moved for Arlie Dazzle, and then, I don't know if that's, because that's that lodge there too, isn't it, that Masonic
Yeah,
Lodge?
yeah.
And I don't know if they're doing their
Attorney
breakfast
Arnott,
again.
he's-
I was ready to burn the boat for Arlie Dazzle.
There we go. All right, we'll move on. Thanks, Kirby.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Kirby.
That's all right. I'm wrong.
All right,
Later up.
so we'll move on. Personnel policy for City of Arlington.
So our personnel policy was a little bit outdated. This policy it's based on the league's model, the League of Minnesota Cities personnel policy. It's been reviewed by our city attorney, and then I had the Minnesota Valley Council of Governments re-put it all together. So this is a fresh, up-to-date version of our personnel policy, and I think we should just make it a habit of probably every 2 years giving it a good hard look. You know, those HR laws are changing all the time, especially with ESST and our family medical leave that's coming up. So we may actually have to look at this at the end of this year, sooner than 2 years. But regardless, this is a good, up-to-date, solid version. We did bring it to our personnel committee as well.
Any thought?
Well, I read it through it already.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
the personnel committee did.
Yeah.
So,
So-
and I reviewed it. It all looks great. The old one's pretty shoddy. So this will close up a lot of the holes.
So then we just need a motion to approve the personnel policy.
I'll make a motion to approve the personnel policy.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Councilmember Ling, second by Councilmember Lithman to approve the personnel policy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, 2025 COLA increase to pay scale.
So this also went to the personnel committee, and we had kind of discussed this in some of our budget talks. I'm trying to get to my memo here. This policy took up the majority of this packet, but basically just to keep our salary step schedule that we had DDA put together competitive and keeping up with cost of living, and proposing a 3% increase to the entire step system, meaning on January 1st, whatever step you're at, that step gets 3%. So the way our increases kind of work is on your anniversary, you get a performance-based increase, and then every year we would do a COLA based on what the market is. 3% is pretty average across the board.
Okay. Any questions?
So besides the morale and productivity, that's just 3% plus whatever other increase there is.
Well, so based on when you were hired,
Right.
you get your annual review. We go through a review,
Yep.
and based on your points, you would either get a step or potentially two if you're doing a phenomenal job. And then at the end of the year, that step itself would get a 3% to the COLA, COLA. Yeah.
you'd get
So that's not
COLA
really
increase
performance.
The beginning of every year,
Yeah.
and then
Your performance based
April 1st, if that was your hire date, you would go up a
progress
step.
through your steps. Correct.
Okay,
Just need a motion to
just
approve
need a
it.
motion to approve it, yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2025 COLA increase to the pay scale.
I'll second.
Motion by Councilmember Lipton, second by Councilmember Meyer to approve the 2025 COLA increase to pay scale. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, item 21, police chief contract.
So we also presented this to personnel, and we had Ken do an overview of both Glenn and I's contract. He was not previously under contract that I'm aware of. Did he have one before?
I thought he did.
Okay.
And I thought we made some edits to the original.
Okay.
I'm fairly confident he was.
Well, this is the updated version.
Who wrote this?
Glenn brought it to us as a proposal. I sent it to Ken to make sure we were in line with what is standard amongst chiefs.
Well, his employer agrees to pay COLA plus 2% for yearly salary increase. Is the 2%, is that about what this is?
Well, so these steps are 3% each.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if he would be his step plus 2%, it's basically guaranteeing what I'm asking for tonight for the 3%. It'd be guaranteeing. Am I stating that correctly? It'd be guaranteeing his 2%.
3% plus 2%.
So the COLA plus 2.
So COLA
Can help
plus
me out a little
2% for the yearly salary increase.
Because his proposed dollar amount here is an increase, and then what I'm thinking it is then the years following that. That's the way I read it.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be this new number plus that. It'd be
It'd be the new number, and then next year would be the 3%.
Every year.
Every year would be the
Yes.
increase. And this is in line with other cities, pretty much.
But this is pretty in line. The number, I guess I can't say, that exact amount. So I think, what do we got, 103?
So I will say he's within the steps that we have approved.
Okay.
So he's not going outside of our step scale.
Okay.
But I looked through it. I talked with Jess. I didn't see anything in there that was too out of line. We made a couple edits, sent it on back. But I know that there had been some concern expressed about him living out of town previously, but I don't think that's something that.
No, I don't care that he lives out of town, but this $3,000 per year vehicle allowance, we're not paying anybody else money for a car. You live out of town, we're not giving you $3,000 a year.
No, but I mean, it's the way your contract's written.
Yeah.
It's definitely something that's common amongst police chiefs and administrators.
But they have the option of living in town. I mean, it's no different than any employee can't do a deduction on their taxes to travel to work, because it's their option to move to the back door of where their work is at, so they don't have to travel. I kind of scratching my head on that too when I read it. It's just like I've never been.
I think it would be considered a fringe benefit if I'm not using that term incorrectly. I don't know. It is ultimately your guys' choice
I don't have
to
any
amend.
problem with the COLA 2% deal, but the 3,000 I do. I think that should be taken out.
And Ken, maybe you can counsel us a little bit on how like a negotiation like this would work.
Yeah, I think, we would certainly, we'd have to sit down with Glenn, explain our concerns on it. And I guess, we have the ability to come back to him with our version of the contract. And then ultimately, whether or not he wishes to accept that, that's up to him. So I think it's up to us how we want to negotiate it.
Mm-hmm. What was his previous contract? Do we know? Did it have that in there as well?
No, I don't believe it did, because I can see if I don't even know if I have a copy.
Okay.
Because he was hired prior to my time.
Well, we could send it back, and then if we had to have a meeting to just approve this, we could before the beginning.
Or we
of the
can
year.
have it in
In
January.
January. We're not under.
Because of
Constraints.
my pregnancy, I'm just trying to get as much completed.
Okay.
Anybody, thoughts from anybody else?
Thoughts? Yeah.
Yeah, I think if it wasn't in there before, I'd sort of agree that now we're giving him a benefit he didn't have before, where maybe it's an incentive to move to town.
I cannot speak on behalf of Glenn, so.
I mean, I totally lived outside of Arlington since I've lived here. Traveled long distances, very few companies are gonna compensate you for driving.
And wrecked a few cars.
Thanks for adding that, Jeff.
So, do we want to table this and send it back? Is there anything else that we want to
So-
discuss?
This is really, the first thing is to pay COLA plus 2%. Is that pay it now and then after that? Is that what?
No,
This isn't,
Can we get clarification of that?
so it's a 5% increase this year?
No, it's yearly. So this dollar amount is what he's asking for 2025. And then
And then going forward,
COLA
we're-
plus 2%, a yearly salary increase.
so basically you got your salary that's in here now.
Yep.
So he'll
So
get
his
the
contract-
COLA increase plus he wants,
Plus 2%.
Plus 2. So whatever you guys choose for COLA that year, that could be 1%, that could be 5%, that could be 2%, plus 2 is what he's asking for in his contract.
so for 2025, just
This new dollar
The
amount.
new dollar amount that's
So
on
this
here.
is preempting for
2020
26.
Yeah, 2026
So
would
he
be,
doesn't get the-
no, 2026 would be the
So then
COLA plus
follow.
2.
And his contract is also by year like mine. So this is all up for consideration again at the end of 2025.
So I think we got to amend our.
As long as it's understood, it's
Yep.
very, very unclear. It
Yeah.
really, really is.
So which part of it, like, did just
Well,
the,
to me, it looks like they get COLA plus 2%.
effective January 1st of 2025, because that's what this agreement is. Right? Am I reading that?
No, because it says full calendar salary of XYZ prorated at the rate of 1 day out of 365 said calendar year for 2025. And then the employee agrees to pay COLA plus 2% for yearly salary increases. That's following.
Okay, so it is
Okay.
clear.
Yeah.
It is dead clear
Mhm.
right here
it's clear to
that we
me.
can't.
It's
come
clear to
back
him.
no more. It's-
Yeah.
As long as it's clear to you,
Yeah.
Ken, it's all right.
It's clear to the lawyer, so
We're
we're
gonna
good.
say everybody
Yep.
else is gonna get a 3% COLA, and he's only getting a 1. I know you can't do that.
Okay,
So,
all right. As long as it is
Oh,
clear
whoops.
to everybody.
So it sounds like the issues was, which clause?
The issue is the $3,000.
The $3,000.
It's just the driving.
basically,
Automobile.
4E.
4E, yeah.
Oh.
So I think for that, I guess, is there any other issues that anyone is seeing that we want to adjust?
I didn't see any. That was the only one.
Read it like 5 times, and I didn't like either one of them two, but I'll live with this one, but the 3,000.
Okay. Motion to table it, and then you guys can bring it to him for back and forth.
Yeah, so I can work with Jess and
Mhm.
we can work with Glenn and present it to him.
I'll make a motion to table the police chief contract.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Thomas, second by Councilmember Matts to table the police chief contract. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, next item, city administrator contract.
So mine has no changes except for the year. So I just want to work here one more year.
I told you we could do it for 5 years.
The charter says 1 year, so until the charter is changed, we'll
How hard
follow
is
it.
I thought this was indefinite.
Yeah,
It is never.
I'll make a motion, we accept the city administrator contract.
I'll second.
Oh, I beat on that.
You did.
all right, motion by Councilmember Meyer, second by Councilmember Ling to approve the city administrator contract. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We may have to look into that city code and see how we can change that.
Lock me in.
Lock you in for 5 years, at least.
Lifetime.
Lifetime? All right,
Not that good.
Yeah, don't give me a big head, you guys.
all right. We'll move on. Item 23, feasibility study. USDA grant loan programs.
I don't have a whole lot on this topic tonight. I told you guys about that Empowering Minnesota Small Cities program that I had applied for. So we did get that application in on November 15th. I haven't had any releases about when they're going to do their second round of picks. So if I haven't heard back by the middle of this month, I'm probably going to follow up with her and just say, what's the timeline? Because if we can utilize some of those resources, I think it'd be really beneficial and very low cost. And I have to say I know Empowering Small Cities was with the U of M. We did a similar type thing with the EDA with some students with MSU. And I went to their dress rehearsal of their hotel study, and they did a fantastic job. And for the city to not really have to pay any money for that, it was such a great benefit. So,
Yeah, they did a good presentation for that.
so that's all I have on that.
That's all you have on
topic.
that? Okay,
And I just plan to keep leaving that on the agenda, and we'll just keep,
updating.
yeah.
Sounds good. All right, so we'll move on. So the October People Services Report, any questions on that?
Nope.
And then police report.
Nope.
And then MMPA meeting, statement of funds, expense reports, any questions? Investment report?
Nope.
All right, then we'll move on. City attorney update, Ken.
You know, it's been a lot of contract reviews lately, which is a good thing. Things have been settling down. I have just pulled up Glenn's previous contract. If you'll give me a second, I can tell you if the previous term was in there that we're discussing. Yeah, so it looks like right now we're providing mileage reimbursement for the chief's personally owned vehicle for travel out of town meetings, that sort of thing.
For business.
And that's in there.
That's in his current
That's in
contract.
there. And that's in the new one that
Mhm.
you wrote. Yes, I saw that.
But yeah, I don't see the stipend in the current contract. So I think it's certainly something that we can address, we can push back on if it's something the city's not
See what
comfortable
he
with.
says.
But I'll work with Jess on that. I'll continue to work with Shane out in Greenell, the mayor out there. I sent him an email just as we were going through, kind of chirping on him, see if we can get that ball rolling again. And yeah, hopefully I'll have you some updates for that stuff at the next one. But pretty quiet, just a lot of contracts.
Okay.
Any more on like Tony House property or?
So that stuff, the EDA was able to come to a resolution on it. So that stuff's all wrapped up.
It is.
Okay. Any questions? Any other questions? All right. Then we'll move on to the city administrator update.
I really don't have much aside from all the stuff we covered at the meeting, so I'll keep mine short.
Okay.
I guess I will say for the next meeting, it will be pretty much just like our organizational meeting since we got our budget and all that stuff wrapped up. And then I will have a resolution we had discussed about interim while I'm out. I'll have a resolution written up for that for you guys. I anticipate still being here for the January meeting. February, probably not. So if there's anything you want to get to me for January, just let me know.
Okay. So then just dates to remember, January 2nd is the EDA and planning and zoning, and then January 6th will be our council meeting.
We also have, sorry, I didn't put it on here, planning and zoning and EDA this Thursday.
This Thursday?
Yeah, the 5th.
Okay. All right. If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second.
Motion by Councilmember Thomas, second by Councilmember Matts to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned at 7:29.
Just under an hour.
Everybody have a Merry Christmas.
Merry
Yeah,
Christmas.
Merry
John, thank you for your services.
Yes, guys.
Working with all you on council.